What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video, another Monday, so you know what time it is. Time for another Mock Draft Monday. We've got the poll, we've got the news, but we got to start off with the stat of the day. Sunday stat. Which quarterback led the league in drop passes? Obviously not the quarterback dropping the passes, but his receiving weapons. Dak Prescott was the answer to that. As you guys know, record these on Fridays, so we're going to miss out on who the winner is. Today's stat. Which quarterback had the least drop passes? So we're going on the other end on this one. And a little hint, maybe, lower volume might help that one out. And this is like a starting quarterback that didn't just play like 2 games, because obviously those guys are going to win. This dude had a lot of attempts. The news. We have so much news this week, I had to create a second tab. So we've got a lot of things to go over. Nothing like crazy. This is more just like beat reporter kind of things, but they're still interesting to go over, still a little bit important. So, Chicago beat reporter thinks Trubisky starts week 1. This is what we were expecting as well, what we've been saying for a few months. Basically, I expect Foles to end the season as a starter. I think Foles is the better quarterback, but with the limited offseason, you got to think they open with Trubisky. He has the shortest leash of any quarterback in the league, and at some point, Foles takes over. But I don't think there's enough time for Foles to take over for week 1. But again, I don't think the switch happens very late in the season, as long as Trubisky doesn't improve. But if Trubisky, has a lot of improvement and does a lot better, maybe he doesn't. But should be a good situation for the pass catchers, because they're going to have an upgrade at some point. Broncos beat reporter expects Melvin Gordon to be the Broncos running back 1. We talked about this sometime earlier this week. And he also said he expects whoever does win the starting job to have like 65 to 70% of the touches, which is close to what we were thinking. I was thinking more like 60 to 65. I mean, that's pretty much closer. Maybe it's like 65. Maybe it's right in the middle of what we're both thinking. Because Lindsey is good enough to where I don't think it's going to be a 70-30 split. Lindsey's still going to get some work. But this basically is what we've been saying for a little bit. Todd Gurley walked with a noticeable limp. Okay, and the Falcons are obviously going to limit his workload, but don't look at all of that too much. Like, a lot of running backs are going to get their workload limited, and walked with a noticeable limp. Like, we haven't seen that. You got to take it with a grain of salt. It could just be someone watching him, knowing he has the arthritis in the knee, and being like, oh, there's a limp. Like, you're looking for something sometimes. So obviously this adds risk, but he is still like the only talented running back on that team, so they're going to give him a decent workload. Josh Jacobs said he wants to catch at least 60 passes this season. I mean, that's probably a little bit higher than what you should expect when you're drafting him. But when we couple that with Gruden saying that, remember, he was upset that Jacobs didn't win Offensive Rookie of the Year, that he wants to feed him on the ground and through the air. So when you get all these things, it just opens the door to the possibility that maybe he has more receptions. Again, probably not 60, but could he get to 40? Maybe. And he finishes running back 13 points per game with 0 third down targets. So any sort of increase is going to make him crush his ADP. So he honestly is a good pick this season in pretty much any format. Colts are going to ride the hot hand. Yeah, we know. They're going to open the season splitting time between Mack and Taylor. You just got to expect that week 1. It's basically going to be an even split, and then slowly Taylor is going to get more and more work as they close out the season. An Atlantic reporter said he would not assume that Mostert is the starting running back. He was basically suggesting that maybe Coleman would be the starter. I don't know. I think it's right to say don't assume it. Like, don't say it's not 100% certain. But I would say if we're putting odds on it, he is still the favorite to be the lead back. So don't think this means you can't draft him. We've been saying don't. Like, it's not worth it. But don't make this be like, oh, there's no way he's going to be a starter. No, he's just saying don't assume he'll be the starter. He still probably will be. Last one on this page, we've got an expected 50 to 35 split between Howard and Breida. It's kind of the first guess, I guess, people have put out, but it's kind of what we've been saying as well. Howard is still more likely to get more work than Breida for carries on the ground, but that Breida is going to be the passing down back. This actually suggested he could play a little bit in the slot because they don't really have a slot receiver. unless you count Gesicki. I mean, technically. But Breida could play some wide receiver. He's definitely going to play on all passing downs. So even when they're down, second down could be a passing down at times. So this still says Breida over Howard if we're drafting. Two more. We've got Alvin Kamara tore his knee in week 6. We knew he was banged up all season, but I don't know. I think it's impressive that the dude's playing through a torn knee, and it puts a little bit of context to he was so unlucky with touchdowns. Maybe they were, I don't know, maybe he was just a little bit less effective because he was less effective last season. Maybe he was less effective because of the injury to the knee. Obviously, he's still a great pick. Like mid-first round, you can get him at that point. Awesome. Alvin Kamara is going to crush this season. Last one, we got some Jerick McKinnon news. He apparently looks sharp when he's running routes. Great news, obviously. He's coming off all these surgeries with the knee. People were suggesting he might never even play for the 49ers, but he did restructure the contract, and it looks like he could be the third down back. And again, that really hurts the upside of both Coleman and Mostert. But maybe McKinnon's a solid late-round flyer. Probably not in a 12-team league. But I guess, if you've got 7-8 bench spots, you could do worse than taking McKinnon really late. Last thing, before we go over the, or I guess we do, the mock draft, we'll go over the results from last week. So this is the team, at least for the running backs and wide receivers, what we had aside from the decision point. So we chose to also add in A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift to this group. And I said, would you rather have not taken A.J. Brown and gone with Connor to lock in 3 running backs, and then you downgrade to Gallup, or just wait for Swift? 57% of you said you would prefer A.J. Brown. I agree. If we look at the team, I don't think you need to add in, you have Clyde and Drake. Obviously, I took Geis. In the poll, I said Henderson because that's who I would take now, I guess, over Geis, because obviously you're not drafting Geis. This was done before that news. But you have Clyde, you have Drake. Do you really need Connor? I know having Moore as your one is fine, but I think the team was better having Clyde and Drake and then Moore and A.J. Brown and Parker. I just think that it came together a lot more nicely, and I'm still cool with Swift as my running back 3. So I agreed with you guys on that one. We didn't need to load up on running back that much. So let's do the mock draft. This one was requested. We're doing a 10-team league, 6th overall pick, full PPR, and I added in a third wide receiver spot. We've been kind of bouncing back before. Half the time in a PPR league we'll do 2, half the time we'll do 3 because 3 is a very common setup. And after we do this one, next week we'll do a 12-team league from the 10 spot, and that'll finish off 2 mock drafts from every spot. So if you're out there suggesting, hey, can you do a 12-team league from the 3 spot? I've done 2 from every spot. So you just got to go look back in the channel and look at the thumbnails. It's going to tell you what it's from. And honestly, the title might even say it in all of them as well. But 10-team league from the 6th spot here. Again, 3 wide receivers, and everything else is pretty normal with no kicker. So let us start things off. I think so. When people ask me what spot you prefer, because I know some of you get to choose, I don't in my leagues, but some of you get to choose. I really like the beginning of the draft. That's actually controversial. I've talked to some people. They don't love the beginning because the drop-off. So there are often times I'll pull up the draft board. You can't really see. Maybe I'll highlight it in the next one. And this is more for 12-team leagues. But a lot of times when you get to the mid-second round is almost where that elite tier stops and you start getting to that next tier. I like early picks because when you can still get those elite players, your team crushes. When you can start out with McCaffrey or Barkley or Zeke or Kamara, all these guys, when you can start off like that and then you still get another tier 2 running back after, you're just loaded. It's obviously unfortunate when it doesn't happen, but in general, I really like the early. And I really do like a late first-round pick as well because you're getting 2 stud running backs probably. And then your wide receivers, when you come back, are still really good. So I don't actually prefer the mid-picks, but, we got to do all the spots. So we've seen McCaffrey, Barkley, Kamara, Adams and Zeke come off the board. We will pull up who is available and high drafted. So our options here. It's a full PPR league, so I would take Clyde over Dalvin Cook. I'd actually maybe do it in any format. But Clyde, then Dalvin Cook, then Derrick Henry. Those are really the only people you consider at running back. And then you've got Michael Thomas. Now, you have to think, in this setup, we have the 3 wide receivers. So it doesn't mean we can't take a running back early by any means. We still honestly lean running back. But under this format, you lean a little bit more heavily to wide receiver if it's close. And if this was my money league, I'm pretty sure I would take Michael Thomas here because we're in a 10-team league. So there's only going to be 8 players off the board at this next pick. If I look at running back, I really think we're still going to get one of these guys. It'll be unfortunate if all of them go, but I think one's going to be available. And I would rather Thomas in one of these versus picking my top and getting the next wide receiver. Especially in a full PPR league, just knowing every single week Thomas is going to get me so many points. That's what I would want to do. So we will see. Who comes off the board here. It always goes too fast for me to see there. So we have to bring up the draft board. For running back, we see Dalvin Cook, Eckler, Derrick Henry, Clyde, and Drake go off the board. And then wide receivers, we see Hopkins, Julio, and Tyreek Hill come off as well. So we do have the option of all of our quarterbacks. We are not going to do that. We lean a little bit more heavily towards quarterbacks early in a 10-team league, but I still need the value. I still need every single one, every single draft that you're in a 10-team league. I know I say lean heavily towards quarterback because you want that advantage, and especially an 8-team league as well. But you're never still reaching. There are still so many quarterbacks where every time you take one, it needs to be, this was incredible value. Just a take on that. And same thing with tight end, honestly. Like if in the next round we wanted to go with like Mahomes or Lamar or Kittle or Kelsey, we'll consider it then. I don't want to spend a second round pick, especially with all these great guys on the board. So we see Mixon, we see Miles Sanders as the pretty clear options for running back. So now I'm very glad I did not end up taking running back. And then we see, for me, Chris Godwin was the last tier 1 wide receiver. I do not believe we need to go to him. If you are someone who prefers RB0, that is a great start. Having Michael Thomas and Godwin. For me, I always like my teams more when I take a running back, and so I am going to take one of Mixon or Sanders. I cannot honestly remember who I have first in full PPR. They are listed right next to each other. I am pretty sure it's Mixon, but honestly, if they're separated by anything, it's like one spot. So don't worry too much about it. I would say whichever one you feel better about. If you're someone who's like, I just don't trust the Bengals offense, take Sanders. If you're someone who really thinks like I do, the Bengals are going to be a lot better this season, I think maybe you lean Mixon there. But honestly, it's whichever one you'd prefer. So pull up the draft board. It's probably the last time we'll pull up the draft board and list everyone. But we see Chubb, Sanders, Jacobs, and Jones go at running back. At wide receiver, we see Godwin, Robinson, Galladay, and Odell go. And then we see both Kelsey and Kittle go at tight end. So all the quarterbacks are still on the board. It's an option. We see running backs, Gurley, Fournette, Carson, Connor, DJ, Bell, all the usual suspects there. Don't love it. Kind of wish we'd gone. So basically, tier 2's over at this point. Wish we'd gotten a tier 2 running back, but mid-third round, you shouldn't be expecting that to happen. Wide receiver, we've got Juju, Mike Evans, DJ Moore. I would say your decision should probably come down to Mike Evans or DJ Moore at that pick. Still love Juju, especially in a full PPR league, but I gotta think Evans and Moore should be ranked higher than him. So that's basically the choice, and maybe this is actually our decision point for this video. So of these receivers, I would take DJ Moore. I think he's going to have an exceptional season. He is an exceptional talent. I think he's going to be a household name by the end of this season, and especially in a full PPR league, I feel really safe with him. And being able to pair, Michael Thomas and DJ Moore, phenomenal start. If we were to go running back, I actually would have this down between Carson and Connor. But I don't think I feel good enough about that to take them over more with the ability to start 3 wide receivers. So hopefully some of these guys are still available at this next pick. Looks like we're seeing a wide receiver run. So actually that may have been good for us to do. So yeah, all those guys are going to be available. Nice. So we see Mahomes and Lamar go. We see a bunch of wide receivers, Evans, Thielen, Juju, Kupp, and Amari go. And then only Gurley gets taken for running backs. So if we pull up the board, we still have basically a decision between Fournette, Carson, and Connor. Remember, I did the video breaking down Connor, Melvin Gordon, David Johnson. I said I would order it Connor, then David Johnson, then Melvin Gordon. This is one, though. Carson and Connor, I'm pretty sure I have right next to each other. Don't remember the exact ranking on it. What do we think about for this team, though? Because obviously, I mean, it's team-specific as well. So we've got Joe Mixon. I would say Joe Mixon is among the first 2-round running backs. I don't think he's like the safest, right? I mean, we feel fantastic about McCaffrey, Barkley, Kamara, Zeke, Cook, Eckler and PPR. Honestly, you got to feel pretty good about the workload. Derrick Henry, Clyde, Drake, even the workload of Chubb, Sanders, Jacobs. For Mixon, I feel great about the workload. He could very well be on the worst offense of all of them. I do still think they'll be better, but there is some risk that Mixon isn't elite this season. At least some. I think he will be, but there's some risk. So I would say we probably want to lean the safer of Carson and James Conner. And given that Penny is likely to open the season on the PUP, and they don't really have that much competition behind Carson, I think I would lean Carson in this build because obviously we know James Conner is the risk of like the massive injury risk. I think Carson is a tad safer. We almost got Conner, it looks like, for the next pick. That would have been an epic start. But we see Mark Andrews go. We don't see any quarterbacks go. A lot of wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Woods, Ridley, Chark, Sutton, Lockett. And then we do see Fournette, Melvin Gordon, and James Conner come off the board. So that's unfortunate. Our team right now, we have, pull up the roster, Joe Mixon and James Conner with Michael Thomas and DJ Moore. Fantastic start in my opinion. If we look at running back, I really just don't want Bell this season. So I'd be looking at David Johnson or Jonathan Taylor. I would lean David Johnson as of right now over Jonathan Taylor. I think it's pretty clearly down to those two. For wide receiver, we love Terry McLaurin. We love DK Metcalf. Really like Parker. I think Keenan Allen is honestly like a decent value at this point. But this would come down pretty much actually just McLaurin. I think McLaurin is the best receiver of this bunch. That's a really difficult one. That's difficult. So maybe, did I say the DJ Moore pick? Which way was it going? It was going this way. I'll have to think about when I actually said that. I think I said the decision point was at Moore for a running back, but I don't even know which running back. Was I talking about Connor at that point? I don't remember. But here's our team. I don't think we're leaning a specific position, but again, the starting 3 receivers is honestly a tiebreaker at times. And as much as I love David Johnson, being able to start Michael Thomas, DJ Moore, and McLaurin and still feel pretty good about my running backs with Mixon and Carson, that's really tough to pass up because I do kind of see a drop off into this next tier of wide receiver. And while that's there for the running backs, I think I might still be able to get Hunt or Swift at this next one, and that would be really nice. So I think opportunity cost, we're going to take McLaurin. We're going to hope that one of these running backs is still available. It looks like, David Johnson won't be, but it looks like we're still going to get one of them. Ooh, Taylor's still there. Ooh, that's going to be a nice decision point as well. So we still don't see Dak come off the board. We're in the 6th round now. We do see Ertz at tight end. We see Keenan Allen T.Y. Hilton, Metcalf, and Parker. And then we see David Johnson, Bell, and Kareem Hunt go for running back. So we've got Michael Thomas, DJ Moore, McLaurin. We probably don't need a wide receiver here. We've got Mixon and Carson, which means we would like a running back. Dak Prescott's still on the board, though. And for those of you who have the rankings, I have removed Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, both as targets. Dak Prescott is now the only early and mid-round quarterback target I have listed on the rankings. It's just optimal this season to go with quarterback late, unless you're getting a discount on Dak. That's basically how my strategy is going to be. If I can get Dak at a discount, I'll take him. If I don't get that, I am waiting for, I'm waiting for like Stafford, Cam Newton, Burrow, Bridgewater. Honestly, that's kind of what it comes down to. The problem I have here, I think this would be an easy decision to go with Dak if Jonathan Taylor wasn't on the board. Him being there makes it tough. But like I said, we kind of do lean towards quarterback in this decision in a 10-team league because, I mean, you can look at the draft board. Everyone's going to have like a pretty solid team, right? I mean, if you look at all these, it's a 10-team league. You got to find your advantage somewhere because everyone's going to be decent. And I think Dak Prescott can be a weekly advantage for us in a smaller format. So 6th round, I think that's a nice spot to get Dak. Would really have liked Taylor to fall to us, but it was pretty unrealistic thinking that was going to happen. So it looks like a few tight ends come off the board. Darren Waller, Ingram, and Higbee come off the board. Looks like we made the right decision because right after we take that, we see a quarterback run. Wilson, Kyler, and Deshaun come off. So I think we got a really nice value there. And then only Jonathan Taylor, of course, at running back, which might actually be good for us. So we look at these running backs, and we're in the 7th round. This is a really nice spot for, honestly, Ingram, for Montgomery, and for Swift. I don't think any of these guys should be available in the 7th round. I mean, I don't talk about Ingram that much, and especially in a full PPR league. But the 7th round for a guy who just had 15 touchdowns, and I know Dobbins is good, but Ingram could still have 12 touchdowns this season, and even in PPR, it's still going to be valuable. So he's not a bad pick at this point. I'm pretty sure I have Swift ranked ahead of him. It'd be between Swift and Montgomery there. Part of me thinks with only 8 picks, there's at least a possibility that with these next 2, I could get Ingram and Swift. And if I could do that, looking at my team, if I could have Mixon, Carson, Ingram, Swift, I mean, I'd feel really good about that, and then I could kind of just load up on a few more wide receivers. So that would be a fantastic start. The question would be, if I'm in my draft, do I want to risk it? Do I want to say, I'll take the chance not getting Swift? I think Swift is a really, really nice pick. I think, honestly, Montgomery's a really nice pick. That's very, very difficult. What do you guys think? Would you take the risk? If this is your money league, would you take the risk? I think I'm going to do it. I really think one of those guys will be there at the next pick. I'm hoping they don't both get taken. Slight reach. What are you talking about? I don't think it's a reach. It's the 7th round for Mark Ingram. I know I don't love him, but guys, I think that's what you do. I think you take the risk that your guy's not going to be there if you're not just like over the moon for him in the draft value. So obviously no quarterback. We're going to take Swift, but you could consider Hurst. I feel like 9th round is a bit of a better value for Hurst, though. You could definitely consider Edelman. Edelman could have a monster season. So I'm going to take Swift. But if you want a wide receiver there, take Edelman. Kind of hope Edelman's actually available at the next pick because that would be pretty sweet. He will not be. He goes about 3 picks after us. And Will Fuller goes right before. That's unfortunate. Pull up the draft board again. It was going this way. After we take Swift, so we see in the 2 rounds after we take Dak, we see Wilson, Kyler, Watson, Brady, Allen, Ryan, and Wentz all get taken. I know I keep saying it, but that was the perfect time to take Dak Prescott. We take Swift, and then we see Mostert, Lindsey, Akers, and Cohen go. Wide receiver, we see Green, Edelman, Jones, and Fuller, and we do not see any tight ends come off the board. So, we can still take Hurst. We're obviously not taking quarterback. At running back, our decision is basically between Howard, Ronald Jones, and James White. Did I say Howard? I was looking at Breda when I said that. Breda or James White, that's probably what I would make it down to. We could take Dobbins and just lock up Baltimore's backfield. I feel like that would be more of like a 10th or 11th round pick for us. Or we take Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is probably the final running back that I see, or probably wide receiver I see in this like top tier. So I feel like I would prefer, since we've got our running backs, I prefer to go with Brandon Cooks. Again, you can only start, I guess you can start 3, but you can start 4 wide receivers in this league. So getting a lot of wide receivers is smart. It's a full PPR league, and we can start 4 of them. So it'll be nice being able to have Michael Thomas with a huge floor and ceiling. Obviously, he's like the best receiver in the game. DJ Moore consistent. McLaurin consistent with some upside. So being able to add in Cooks in the flex, I'm cool if he has some weeks that aren't that great, because in the weeks where he's in my flex and he explodes, which he'll do a few times this season, I'm going to win those weeks because I've just got stability at all these other spots. And I can throw Ingram in there in weeks that I think Baltimore is going to dominate as well. Plus Swift. I think Swift is being undervalued as well. So I like the team so far. I don't think we're like even, so we don't need to lean any specific position. Right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. Beautiful. For wide receiver, we're looking at Deontay Johnson, Darius Slayton, Anthony Miller, CeeDee Lamb, the usual guys. Breida at running back for Miami, and then honestly a drop-off, so we could consider, well, yeah, it's not a huge drop, but I think Darrell Henderson I have ranked right next to him. Zach Moss, pretty close after that. So we don't need to go with those guys. I think if this is my league, we're in the 10th round. I'm taking Hurst, taking those targets. You've heard me say a million times, I think Hurst is being undervalued by the community just because there are so many vacated targets. There are no wide receivers behind Ridley and Julio. There's no tight ends behind Hurst. And if we think also Gurley might not be 100%, they're going to throw the ball more than any team in the league, and Hurst is going to be peppered. So I am more than okay taking Hurst there. So we've just got 5 more bench spots, and then our defense to take. A little bit different taking Dak and a tight end earlier. But if we look at this starting lineup, honestly, it's scary good. I really think that's a good start. So full PPR league, Duke Johnson, obviously a boost. I think Darrell Henderson is the top running back on the board, so that's what I'd go for there. I do think Anthony Miller, though, is a tier above all of these other wide receivers, so we'll lock him up. I think, the 11th round for Anthony Miller probably shouldn't be a thing. Looks like we see a huge run on running back. Looks like a bunch of them went. Obviously, we see Geis because some people haven't updated the rankings and everything, and ADP is a little slow to adjust. But we see our boy Henderson go. We see Zach Moss go. We see Duke Johnson go right before us. And only Golden Tate at wide receiver. So, we would like a running back. But looking at the list, I'd say it's handcuffs. Remember, we want other people's handcuffs, not our own handcuffs. So, Boston Scott, Chase Edmonds, Darren Evans, I guess. Damian Harris for sure. No one that we need, though. And again, with the ability to start 4 wide receivers, maybe we just lean wide receiver here. This would be between CeeDee Lamb and Rager. I feel like with this pick, we're probably looking more towards upside, and very few wide receivers have more upside than CeeDee Lamb. Like, just imagine if Amari went down. There's a world where CeeDee Lamb is the one for this team. That's scary. Because he's special. He's going to be the top receiver in Dallas in like 2 to 3 years, for sure. But even next season, he could realistically be the top receiver. He's very, very good. So 3 left. We've got a lot of wide receivers. We probably lean running back here unless there's a nice wide receiver value. We've got Michael Thomas, Moore, McLaurin, Cooks, Miller, Lamb. Love our receivers. And then for running back, Mixon, Carson, Ingram, and Swift. So again, leaning running back. It's the same guys I said before. Pollard, Scott, Edmonds. You could consider Hines. It's not a bad pick in a full PPR league with how good of a screen quarterback Rivers is. Oof. But Jalen Reagor's still on the board, and he's probably the wide receiver 1 in Philly. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to take him there. You have to just hope one of these running backs is still there. And it looks like they're going to be. Yeah, all of Pollard, Scott, and Edmonds. So that was the correct choice. Again, who would we take? We want upside, obviously, but who's most likely to hit that upside? I would say he's most likely to produce us points each week. I don't think we need those, though, because we have Mixon, we have Carson, Ingram, and Swift. We're probably set for a while on points. And I don't think they would feature Scott if Sanders went down. So I think it would be between Pollard and Edmonds. And given the history of just going with a different back, I feel like I would take Edmonds because he's produced really well when they featured him in the past. And like I said, given the history that team has been like, oh, you have an injury, we're just going to feature the guy behind you for a few weeks. I feel like Edmonds has the clearest path to a lot of production there. I don't really care which one you would have taken. But like I said, with Boston Scott, he's probably going to produce more each week when Sanders is healthy than the other guys would. But if Sanders went down for a significant amount of time, I think they'd bring someone in. I don't think they would feature Boston Scott. So that's kind of why I went with him. Probably another running back, right? I think we have enough receivers because we've got 3, 4, 5. We've got 7 receivers. Yeah, I mean, you got to lean running back at this spot. And I would take, of course, Damian Harris. With Sony maybe not even opening the season healthy, and they just brought in Lamar Miller, who could be fine, but Damian Harris is good. I'm telling you, if he's going to get the opportunity, he could have a good season. And in the 15th round, why not? Like, you're probably going to drop these picks anyways. Like, you should be taking super high upside picks in like the 14th, 15th, 16th rounds because you want to be able to say, okay, it didn't hit to start the season, but look at all these receivers. Remember, we had Chark. We had McLaurin just to open the season on free agency. We have A.J. Brown. All these guys, you had to drop your late round picks to get them. So you don't want a late round pick that's getting you enough points and you being like, maybe I should keep them for some extra points. No, pure upside. I want 0 or starter from these guys. So I'm perfectly comfortable dropping all of them when there's great picks early in the season. I think we have to pick defense with this pick. And remember, it is Kansas City, it is the Chargers, the Colts, and the Bucks. But the order is Chargers, Bucks, Kansas City, Colts. I'm pretty sure that's how I have the order. So we will take the Chargers, who have fantastic defense. But I don't know. It'd be up to you for that one. Remember, we don't care about the grade. We have to scroll. We usually have to scroll. Okay. Here's the team. I really like the starting lineup. I think that came together nicely. So we've got Dak Prescott, Joe Mixon, Chris Carson, Michael Thomas, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Hayden Hurst, and then Ingram is there. I feel like I would replace him with one of, I guess him and Swift would come down to matchup, but then I would probably play Brandon Cooks over him because of what I said before. I've got these floors each week with Moore, Thomas, and McLaurin. With that flex spot, I want someone who can go for like 150 and 2 scores, and that's Brandon Cooks. So then Chargers, of course, rounding out the starting lineup. And then, like I said, Swift, Cooks, and then Anthony Miller, Lamb, Rager, Chase Edmonds, and Damian Harris. That is the perfect bench in my opinion. So I guess decision point, I didn't really know what we had said before. I kind of forget to be completely honest. I think it was down to this pick, but I don't even know what running back I would have taken. I mean, I would have ended up taking Chris Carson or James Conner, so it's not really a decision because then it's literally saying, would you rather DJ Moore and Carson or Carson and like a receiver I took or I didn't take because I took Moore ahead of him. So I don't think that's a decision point. I would say it would be quarterback. So usually I would have taken Cam Newton, and Cam Newton was available. Did he even get drafted? I mean, we would have ended up taking Newton in probably like the 13th round. So would you rather have taken, Jonathan Taylor, we'll do the 14th with Chase Edmonds. So would you rather Dak Prescott and Chase Edmonds or Jonathan Taylor and Cam Newton? That's a very interesting one. Want to see what you guys think. You can vote on that in the comment section down below with the stat of the day, or you can go to my Twitter. It's on the screen somewhere. I don't really know where it is. And you can vote on that when I post it. That's the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting the like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.